guys. Welcome to Table Talk. We're glad you're here today, and we have a lovely guest here, our lovely Miss Maria, who's going to be sharing today. And you might have seen her face before because she's part of the worship team. Yay! So say hi, Maria.
Hello.
Yay. And Maria, what do you do?
I go to Messiah. I'm studying music education. This is my senior year. And I also have a minor with music and worship. So I'm involved in that area of campus as well.
Cool. Yeah, well, we are blessed that she's here. And yeah, so I asked her to be our, question asker today. We are doing this sermon series that's called Open Table, which is about tables and all these stories in the Gospel of Luke about Jesus around tables and stuff. Mm-hmm. And kind of the theme this week was about invitation and showing up, like not just receiving the invitation, but accepting it. And the story of Jesus in Luke 7 and this woman that shows up unexpectedly to kind of crashes the party, if you will, like to dinner and stuff. So what do you want to talk about today, Maria?
A few things.
So Maria's a note taker, by the way.
I am.
Yay!
A few
you are.
So something that really struck me from the beginning was you saying, has an invitation ever been a turning point in your life? I'm not somebody that's used to being invited. I'm somebody that's used to being the inviter. So whenever I came to Messiah, I was like, I want to go to a Nazarene church again because that was what I was used to, what was comfortable to me. So I came here and I just kind of sat for a very long time because I didn't know how to interact with people without being the person that was inviting other people. I'm not used to being in like a new environment. And it took a really, really long time. But that aspect of like showing up was still really important because I was here, people noticed me, people talked to me, and I felt really, really welcomed even though I didn't get involved for a long time.
So what did it take like to keep showing up, like even though maybe you weren't like actively involved with ministry? Because very easily like you could have been like, I'm tired, I want to sleep in, like I'm a college student, like what did it take?
I think there was a depth of intentionality in the congregation that I've never seen anywhere else in my whole life. I'm used to being very intentional with people and reaching out to them, but people that I barely knew were saying that they were praying for me and asking like if they could help me in any way. And I am not those three different types of tables, recipient, host, and guest. Like I'm not used to being anything besides like a host, really. Wow. So it was really hard for me to come here and receive that, but I knew that it was so necessary for my growth. And the past few years, like last school year, we didn't have a lot of opportunity to leave campus. And Becca actually invited me to spend Easter with them. Wow. And that was the first time that I like really had a one-on-one outside of church connection with somebody from here. And that did change a lot for me because then I was like, hey, can you help me get more involved in the church? Like, I'm not used to just sitting around. And I've been doing it for several years now. I've been showing up every Sunday but not doing anything. And the next Sunday I was on the worship team. And I've been doing stuff ever since.
How about that, right? So you too might wind up on the worship team.
Yeah.
But just that's really cool about Easter. And that being kind of maybe a turning point in that invitation.
Yeah, it really was.
That's cool. That's cool. Yeah. And I'm sure that there's probably a number of stories like, that you could share. I could share even folks that are watching in our congregation or outside, like just about just how powerful like one invitation could be. And like when you're inviting, like you don't think that much of it, but it's but in somebody else's life to be invited, like you're saying, like if you're used to doing that all the time, like to be invited is like it changes things.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
Nice. What else is on your mind?
So I was just thinking about the idea of showing up and that being like a really big focus. And I was just thinking about the woman that you were saying, an uninvited person showing up to this party. And
have you seen Wedding Crashers?
No.
Okay, don't.
But I was just thinking like she did so much more than just show up.
Yeah.
And I think that for me in my own personal journey, coming to this church, I knew that there was something different about it than anything I'd ever experienced, and I wanted to be a part of that, but for a long time I just showed up and I didn't get involved in what I was seeing and didn't And I think there's just more to that showing up in faith, in churches, everywhere. Until I got involved, I didn't really feel like the showing up was worth it, or that there was, there was a time in my life that I was kind of like, well, I'm showing up on Sundays because that's what you do. But I wasn't like, I feel really called to be here and really invested. And so I just, in that idea of showing up, she did way more than showing up. Like, she showed up and washed his feet, and like was somebody that she just came on her own. Like you were talking about being by yourself, I was coming by myself really too. And I had people invite me to sit with them because they were like, you shouldn't have to sit by yourself in church. So that was really sweet. But
well, you think about her, and just that, like you're saying, like the risk that she took. Like, she wound up being a better host than Simon, which, like, when Jesus like says that, can you imagine like what Simon, like, this is his house, like, but he didn't do these things that like should have been done, like the welcome, the greeting type thing, the like the ritual washing of feet before a meal, those types of things. And then she like jumps in and uses what she has like to do this. So how awkward, when it's like, wow, this person is here and like they're going above and beyond. Like she was really the host. Like she could have been the guest, like the uninvited guest, but she wound up being the host. And I think like you're saying, like how for some of us it's taking that next step from showing up into saying, well, how can I like that service element of it and be a part of it. So would you say, was that like more of like an outward influence that led you to be more like involved in serving, or was it like an inward, like, hey, I'm ready to do something, like what, or was it both?
I think it was both. I think that I had some bad experiences in the past, and the Lord was trying to take me to a place where I could step back and receive for a little while. And that's that, back to that idea of host, recipient, and guest. I needed to just be filled, and I needed to just receive. And when the Lord felt like I had that opportunity for long enough, then he was like, okay, now it's your time to kind of fill in a host role a little bit more again, or just, be in service in the church and in the community and all of those things. And I think something really important for me to recognize was that, like the woman who just went in there and washed his feet, like when the Lord puts something on your heart to do it, you have to just trust that that was what you were supposed to do and that the timing was right, even if it seems really odd. Like I came on a random Sunday when I had been coming here for so many years and I was already a music major, but that was the exact time that I needed to do that. I needed to receive, and then I needed to go back into doing a lot more service again. And I think that's okay to take that step back.
That's a really good point. Because I know that like even some of the folks that are watching, like maybe you're coming from a traumatic experience in some way, or whether in church life or like in your own life. And I think there is a time to just show up and receive, like you're saying. And that's like more than okay. Like sometimes you just have to do that for a while in order to have that happen. And in a couple of weeks, we're going to look at a story later in Luke that just talks about the importance of being a recipient and how we can't just serve and be, hey, everybody, I'm leading this and all that stuff. Like you have to receive too. But there is that step of like, with those 3 tables, it's all of them. It's not just one. So you might need to sit for a while and just be present. And I think there's been several folks too that like it hasn't been until recently that they've joined us in person. For a while they were watching online, which is fantastic. Or if you're away, or once again invite friends, be like, hey, check out this sermon or this service, it's from so and so, as a part of this, and that can be a very easy invitation too. So so that's really cool. That's neat. But Jesus is pretty cool though, right? I know. So what was your like favorite part of that story?
I think
this lady showing up.
I think that she was just so okay with what she felt like this Holy Spirit was leading her to do. Like I'm somebody that like I hear a lot of convictions from God or things that I feel like I should do, and I'm like, maybe not yet. maybe, I don't know, is that what the Lord
Right.
actually is telling me to do?
That's a good point.
And she was just so okay with just walking right into this party that she wasn't even invited to and being like, I'm not worthy and I need to do this because the Lord is like this is what I need to do in this moment.
This is Jesus.
Like, this is Jesus right in front of
Oh my
me.
gosh.
And I'm like, what would we do if Jesus was right in front of us? Like, would we know that we're unworthy and walk in there and want to wash his feet? Or would we be like, oh, like, what will he think of us?
Yeah.
You know? So that really stood out to me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. No, I love that part. And I think for me, it's the story. Like Jesus, instead of like being like, Simon, teaching moment, like, I'm going to tell you about like what you forgot to do and what this woman is doing while he's like scowling and making comments and that kind of thing. He's like, hey, let me tell you a story. And like, and just kind of like breaks the ice that way. And on a kind of side note, like that just reminded me of like the power of stories too. And how sometimes, like, especially in a touchy situation, sometimes it's just better to share a story because that like, you just connect emotionally rather than be, you should do this or you shouldn't do that. And from the scripture, like, Simon's like convicted, and then you have this whole group of people around that's like, who is this Jesus? Like, oh my gosh, he forgives sins. Like, such a big deal for him to even say that to her. And I wonder what happened to the woman. What do you think happened to her? We don't know, but
I don't know. I think she was probably like a really good example to that community of what it means to lay down whatever is weighing you down to Jesus, and just recognizing that we're sinful people and recognizing that we're never gonna reach that point of perfection, but being humble enough to be like, no, like, I'm not worthy, so I need to lay this down. Every single day of our lives we need to do that. So I would say, like, probably at first they were like, oh, that's kind of weird, why would she do that? But then probably that would make a pretty significant impact on the people, and even the host, like her being a better host than the actual host. Like, I think, I don't know. I would like to think that she probably made a big impact on those people, whether they talk to her ever again or not.
Right, yeah. That's a really good point. Yeah, and just Jesus's power of belonging, and we don't know what the effect was. We know some other people that Jesus met and interacted with, but it sounded like from the story that she was even touched prior to meeting Jesus. And so who knows what that impact, like how that impacted the spread of his coming and what he was here for. So good stuff. Yeah. No, it's exciting. So just kind of wrap up point here. So what would you tell folks, like, if they are hesitant at like showing up or extending an invitation? Like we talked about those three things, like extend the invite, take the risk, and what was the last one? My brain is like dead. What was it? Extend the invite. Oh, Jesus may surprise you. What would you tell somebody that maybe is in the position that you were when you were kind of like still feeling things out?
I think I would say just be really intentional in prayer to listen to the Lord more than try to respond, because I was really confused about why I didn't feel like the Lord wanted me to serve right away, because I am somebody that always did that. But when I started praying in a way that was like, before I pray this prayer, Lord, empty me of myself. Tell me what it is that you want to show me, like, in this moment. Where am I supposed to be? What am I supposed to be doing? And it can feel really confusing, but that's also a great way to know that what you're hearing and what you're receiving from the Lord in that space and time is where you're supposed to be and what you're supposed to be doing. And when the time comes that you're supposed to be serving, if you're still praying that way, you'll know. Because I knew. And it was really powerful. And looking back on it, like I was telling you, it's okay to be a recipient if you never have. I mean, if you haven't served, don't be afraid to do that. Don't let something that's happened to you in the past affect that, because I've also been guilty of doing that too. So
good words. Awesome. Well, thanks, Maria.
Yeah,
I appreciate you. And thanks for being a part of this today. And it's really cool to just hear your story and just how like God's been at work in your life. And I'm just excited for what's
Yeah.
ahead too. So, and also for Table Life Church, like we said, this power of culture
Yeah.
and power of invitation. Like, let's be just like Jesus. Like, hey, you are welcome here. You belong here. So, yeah, we're gonna continue this next week. It's gonna be awesome. Rest through, I think, the end of October or so for this series. And I don't know if you guys can like see online. I'll have to like check out the video, but the like the table in the sanctuary, like where communion is, like we have it set different each week. So this week we had like juice boxes on it because like kids, like they're part of the table too. And I wanted to have like goldfish or like animal
Oh
crackers.
no.
Ben wanted like Ben, one of our worship leaders, he wanted I think some fruit snacks or something. So we might have to do
fruit
that
snacks.
next year. Fruit snacks are awesome. So anyway, side note, you'll see it different next week. But
Yeah.
hope you have a great week and take care. Bye.